All right, guys, we are back with another great episode of Basscast Radio. I am your host, Brian Carter, and back with us this week, up from the grave he arose, Hank the Bass Geek. What's up, brother?
And not a lot, man. Missed a couple of weeks ago because I was sick. Had the COVID after we
Yes.
got back from the Knoxville show. And then, got to make a trip out to meet all the gang at Camus Boats. So that was a good, really good time. Really good time. Can't wait for y'all to see that video. It'll probably be a couple of weeks, but I will tell you, going to see how they build bass boats is makes you look at bass boats way different.
Wow.
They are extremely expensive. I get it and I agree, but there's nothing automated, like nothing. The only thing in that entire plant that was automated was their sprayer for the resin. That's it. Everything else was laid by hand.
That's
By
cool.
hand. And that's crazy. I mean, that's
That is
crazy
crazy.
if you think about it. I don't know if that's how all other boats are made. I'm sure it probably is.
It definitely is because I, over the weekend, for some daggone reason, I don't know why, I just love fishing, guys. It doesn't matter what type. I started watching this fly fishing series,
Oh,
and they actually went from tackle shop to tackle shop, fly shops, and they, you got to meet the people owning it and also blah blah blah. But they went to a boat maker that let them use a boat, and everything there, like I said, there was nothing. I mean, it was all just no real
yeah.
automated machines, period.
No.
That's why it was $11,000 for a used one of these boats. I didn't even
Yeah.
want to look up a brand new one. So,
I mean, it really, I mean, right down to I got to meet the ladies that sewed the seats together. Like it starts out literally in a like a two-piece mold. And you literally, and I still don't even understand how this works. Like I was having to shoot a lot of B-roll, so my buddy was actually, holding a big camera, getting
right.
the interview. So some of it, like I'm gonna have to go back and watch because I didn't get to hear it. But like they put the paint in first,
Oh,
so they
wow.
yeah, so the paint somehow goes into the mold, and then they start putting the fiberglass in. And when I say they put the fiberglass in, I don't mean they roll out big long. I mean I'm talking about 2x2 sheets, one at
Holy
a time.
cow.
Yes, I mean dudes were like Superman in it, hanging over the edge of the boat, putting those in. They'd spray the resin, then they'd have to take these little tiny 6-inch rollers and roll it around.
Oh,
It was
yeah.
crazy, man. Crazy.
So, you guys make sure you watch that video when it comes out. Let's turn back to time because we didn't have you on because, like you said, you were sick. I want to thank John Woodruff for filling in for Hank. Really appreciate him coming on and
Awesome.
filling in and hooking us up. You guys know Woodruff from Backstage Fishing. Pressure him, guys. We need to bring it back. But Tennessee, Knoxville. Tell us a little bit about the expo, man. I mean, I know it's always busy. Hank said, he signed a lot of autographs. He kissed a lot of babies.
Yeah, it was I can really tell the channel has grown last year. It was great getting to meet everybody again. That's another video that's we're working on right now. Hopefully it'll be out in a week or two. You get to see, it's a video that I like to give back to all my
Right.
subscribers, my viewers, and let them get on. But we picked out some good. There's no way you're going to show. I did a live like on Friday, I think it
Yeah.
was, and I covered maybe a quarter, maybe a third of the place, and it literally about killed me. I mean, it was insane. Just and that live's out there. Go watch it. Uh, it is incredible. You know, but that show is always great. So many good custom painters, custom crankbaits, and then some big names, some big companies, some industry leaders there too. Um, that's one of those. That's one of those shows that realistically, and I've been to several shows. if I could tell you to go to two shows, it would be that one and the Classic.
Yeah.
That's how big that show is. I think the Classic Expo is the only thing that can get close to
Oh
that
yeah.
one, you know.
That show really is. I mean, I hated to miss it. I had to do go to another,
Yeah.
be at another location. But Hank is right. If you guys get a chance, and we've actually, I know people from the area who have all started coming to do it. They do it as a little getaway, kick off the first of the year.
Yeah.
But it's an awesome show. I mean, it's really really great, and appreciate everyone that puts that show on. And thank you for the update, Geek.
It was fun, man. You know, other than the COVID part of it.
Yeah, it happens.
So
I went up to Fishersville for the Augusta County Bass Club, and they had their little expo this weekend. And it was actually, I you know what, guys, I'm gonna give it a 6, maybe a 6.5 out of 10 stars. Even for it being a small event, they had a little bit of everything there that you would need to go fishing. I mean, they had a little bit of everything there. You know, every one of these expos is going to have a little bit of the BS stuff, especially for a small expo, because they got to pay for the tables, they got to pay for the rental, they got to pay for all that. But the show was a very good show. I appreciate everyone for inviting me up as always. It was great hanging out. I broke my first rod.
yeah.
Yeah. I was showing a guy a rod, and I
Pretty
snapped
funny.
that bad boy in half. But other than that, we sold a bunch of kayaks with our sponsors, Journey Outdoors. So that went really, really well. So thank you for everyone that stopped by the booth and I got to meet. And, you know, got a lot of people signed up. So the kayak series should be kicking off. Danielle's working on everything tonight.
Nice.
Also here at the Basscast, don't forget to make your fantasy fishing picks tonight. It all begins tomorrow.
Wow.
And we were sitting at 59 participants before I came downstairs to do the podcast tonight. So thank you to everyone that signed up. I made my picks. I'm not going to announce them and go into it here on the show. But if you're following our band group, you will see our picks, my boy Chris's picks. So thank you to everyone that signed up to play for that. And like I said, you know, be honest, by the time this podcast goes up, it's too late. You already missed day one, but you still can sign up because we do give away individual event winners prize packs. And we got a really cool prize pack coming from a bait company. I don't want to make any announcements yet because it's not in my hands, but I have seen the bait. And so you're going to win something really cool from the basscast.com and Basscast Radio. Last but not least, before we talk about a few sponsors and tonight's guest, we've been working on a lot of brand new stuff here at the basscast.com. You guys have all seen the logo for Basscast Radio, I hope by now. Mm-hmm. We're going to be putting out some different merchandise. He's working on the screen embroidery, the stitch for the embroidery for hats and all that other good stuff, because that's done separately. So be watching for that coming out really, really soon. And we have a Patreon now. I've been waiting to do this. We have a Patreon. It's $5 a month to become a Patreon. I've been putting it in all of our shows. If you go to the Bass Outdoor Obsessions Radio, you can go from there and join our Patreon. But we're going to give it about a month or so. Hopefully a lot of you guys sign up. We really, really appreciate that. All the money stays here. It all goes to the content. Everything that you see is here at the basscast.com and Basscast Radio, because I put Basscast Radio and basscast.com because the money all funnels to one place. But what we're going to do is we're going to give it a month. Like I said, you guys sign up, and then we're going to start doing a random monthly winner and be giving away some merchandise for Basscast Radio. So head on over, become a member of our Patreon. If you go to our YouTube channel right now, Basscast Radio, listen to the latest episode. It's in the title description. Scroll down, join our Patreon. It's all right there. So you're hearing it first. Become a member of our Patreon today. We greatly appreciate it. Thank you very much for that. But before we go and talk to 2022 NPFL Angler of the Year Mr. Gary Adkins. We got to thank a few sponsors, man, for making this happen tonight. Do you struggle remembering what fishing pattern worked for you years ago in cloudy weather, in summer on a specific lake, and specific water visibility? Are you tired of journaling your fishing experience on pen and paper, guys? The Fish It Logbook app is your solution. Built by anglers for anglers. Just log your fishing patterns at the end of the day in under a minute and have it captured forever. That's not all. The app goes to work for you and presents you with a detailed insights, statistics about your fishing performance by revealing averages related to your techniques, cover, structure, weather, water, visibility, and many more. Know your numbers like any other professional athlete knows their numbers. Available on the Google Play Store and Apple Store, www.fishit.app. And also, guys, if you go to Outdoor Sessions Radio and listen to the latest podcast or last couple of podcasts, big bold link is there after the Patreon link, by the way, for you to go and download the app. Wildland Coffee, guys. I ain't gonna say I'm a dealer yet, but we're trying to help these guys out. They're on the West Coast, but this is some great coffee. I actually gave it to Christina at Journey Outdoors, and she likes it a whole lot, and I love it myself. I mean, like I said, it's going on every trip this year. Wildland Coffee in a tea. Wildland's coffee in a tea bag, guys. Who are we kidding? Coffee, definitely a necessity. Simply boil 8 ounces of water. Drop this real ground coffee bag in for 8+ minutes and enjoy for a stronger flavor. Leave it as long as there for a few more minutes. I'm getting a tongue twisted there. 8 minutes, I think, is all you need. And I always put, it says 8 ounces of water. I put 10 ounces of water in mine, but you do you, boo. And that's what I'm going to tell you. But it's some great coffee, and I want to appreciate Wildland Coffee for being a part of Basscast Radio. Guys, we're going to be right back with Mr. Gary Adkins. All right, guys, we're back with NPFL Pro, Mr. Gary Adkins. Welcome to the show, brother.
Thank you for having me.
Guys, if you don't know, Amy is sleeping underneath the rock. He was the 2022 Angler of the Year for NPFL. Total career earnings so far, $107,000. That's pretty freaking awesome for year one.
Yep, I had a great first year, guys. I really did. I can't complain.
All right, so we all hear the accent out there. Hopefully you're all listening very well. Tell us about life growing up north, man, the walleye fishing, and how you got into this bass fishing deal.
Okay, actually, seeing you brought up the walleye thing, I was actually a tournament fishing walleyes for several years before I started fishing bass.
Wow.
It was like in the early 1990s. I was fishing walleyes. I entered my first Sturgeon Bay tournament, smallmouth tournament. Everybody, I'm sure they're familiar with the Sturgeon Bay Open.
Yeah.
I joined that for the first year. I hooked into my first smallmouth, and I never looked back.
He was like, these junk fish are real fun.
These fish are fun.
That's what I know. A lot of northern guys, they're fish walleye, and they consider a smallmouth junk fish up there.
Right. So that's where it all started. And then I joined a local bass club. I had a friend that he was in a bass club, and he said, yeah, you should join our club. And it just kind of progressed from there, guys. I got into the Bass Nation. Through my bass club, I was actually Wisconsin state champion 3 years out of, I think, the 7 years that I fished it. I won the Northern Divisional in the Bass Nation on Vermilion Lake in Minnesota. I won that, went all the way to the national championship, and I was really just a couple ounces from going to the Bassmaster Classic in 2015.
That is awesome, dude.
Wow.
Through the Bass Nation, yeah.
And you guys all know coming up through the Bass Nation is extremely difficult.
Mm-hmm.
It is. You got a bunch of hungry anglers, just like myself. And there's so many good anglers in the Bass Nation that you'll never hear about them because they're never going to get to that next level for Maybe their
Yeah.
job's holding them back, or there's small things holding them back, but there's so many good anglers. It's unbelievable.
So you told me earlier, we were talking about a little bit before, this was your first year on the NPFL season last year, 2022. What made you decide to go the NPFL route? I mean, what, like I said, I mean, you also told me you did fish some FLW stuff as well.
Yes, like I was telling you earlier, in 2006, I was fishing the Everstarts and the Raybacks. I did that for 2 years. My second year, I finished fourth in the Angler of the Year race in the Raybacks, and I qualified for the FLW Tour. I didn't feel I was ready for it yet. Financially, certainly was not ready for it. I don't think I was an accomplished angler to where I am now, so I chose not to do it. I stayed from there. I went back into the Bass Nation, fished for several more years, and then 4 years ago, I joined the Bass Opens. I fished the Bass Opens for 3 years and was very competitive. In fact, my last year in the Opens, if I wouldn't have had one bad day on Oneida Lake, I would have made the elites that year.
Yeah. I mean, that's a big, that's being very self-aware. A lot of anglers are not going to hold themselves back, from making that, especially financially. I've talked to several guys in the industry, and they'll tell you they know a lot of guys that have bankrupt themselves chasing the dream, and from a financial, even more so, what you mentioned first was you didn't feel like you were, maybe a well-rounded enough angler yet to jump into that FLW tour. So that's a pretty self-aware. That's a pretty big thing, man. I don't know that a lot of guys are going to go, well, I don't think I'm ready, but let's go.
Well, what made my decision there, and I'll get back to the NPFL question. I'm sorry, Brian.
No, go for it. This is
I
awesome.
fished the Northern Division in the Rayovacs. So other than Kentucky Lake, I had fished all smallmouth bodies of water, and that was my strong point. So I knew I did not have enough experience fishing largemouth at that point to go to them southern lakes and compete with some of the best sticks. Because I went to the FLW Championship, which was on Pickwick and Wilson Lake.
Yeah.
And I was competing against Chris Lane and all them guys, and I could tell I was not ready. I was not ready to compete against that group of guys.
Yeah, like Geek said, that was pretty freaking awesome for you. You're a businessman on top of that.
Yes.
You own your own business. So being business savvy as well, we all know our different strengths in business, and that's why we hire other people to help us make our business better. I got Geek, he makes me better. So
I'd argue, but
but that, like you said, that was pretty good. And what wisdom would you have for someone, that I've got some friends, and I know different people like me and Geek both do, and that's the thing about it. Like, oh man, we just got offered this. Maybe it might not ever happen again. Let's go chase it. Let's go chase it, because we don't know if it'll ever happen again.
Yeah.
And for you to say, I'm willing to stay here, or go fish a couple other bodies of water and get my feet wet again in other locations, like you said, the smallmouth that was your main point, but go fish some of these largemouth lakes. And then a decade later, we got the NPFL, and here you are.
Yep. And getting back to the NPFL question, a good friend of mine, Kyle Carpenter, who is the weighmaster for the NPFL, and he also runs the production team with Fixed Production. He's been a good friend of mine for years, and he knows how competitive I am, and he's also in my bass club, so I fish against him all the time, and he knows how competitive I am, and he felt that I was ready for it. He said, you really should give the NPFL a chance and give it a try. So I gave it a thought, and I made a decision. I left Bass and I went to the NPFL, and I'll tell you what, it turned out to be one of the best decisions of my life.
Awesome.
That's very, very true. As we'll go over that here in a few minutes. But, like I said, making all these different decisions in your fishing career leading up to this NPFL, what do you think has, helped you so far? I mean, because you are now a well-diverse angler. as we can tell by wins, AOY, the whole 9 yards.
Yeah.
What's helped make you that well-rounded angler that you probably wouldn't have been a decade ago?
Just time on the water. I've spent a lot of time in the South, through my job, in my work, also competing in the Bassmaster Opens,
Okay.
things like that. I was able to see a lot of southern bodies of waters, all the way from the East Coast to the West Coast and as deep south as Florida. And I spent a lot of time on the water, and I always make a point when I hit the water to try to learn something new.
I like that.
You know, if I'm not learning something new, then I don't feel right. So I'm going to try
Yeah.
different baits. I'm going to try different techniques. I'm trying different lakes, high mountain reservoir lakes, tidal waters, things like that. I spent 10 years rounding myself on every body of water that I could get my boat in.
What evidence? What would you give a young angler coming up right now that that might have gotten that shot of the dream, but really hasn't been to fish all these lakes and fish like bass. We go starting. Everybody's starting now, Florida, and then we all just come on up, we swing and go through the northern swing, and some of them ain't got a clue.
Right. If I could give anybody any advice, I would say don't rush into it. Spend as much time on the water as you possibly can. Try to make yourself the roundest angler you can. Spend a year focusing on smallmouth, drop shotting. Another, as much time as you can punching and pitching and flipping, and just make yourself a well-rounded angler, because I'll assure you, you're going to come to a body of water where each one of them techniques is going to come into a play. And if you don't have much experience with it, you're going to find yourself in the back of the pack at the end of the tournament.
Yeah.
Very true.
That's something that, we've had another guest on, and I know him personally, and that's, Radar Miles Berghoff. And, that's one of the things that he talked about that he kind of did to get himself rounded out. He would actually go and fish a different BFL division every single year. And he got to see, lakes down south, up north, so it was, the same sort of thing. He was doing it fishing tournaments, but he said that really helped him get to the elites eventually. So
many different ways of reaching that goal. 2022, brother, like I said, I went back and looked at it. You had a 15th place on Lake Cumberland, a 21st on Watts Bar. You won Saginaw Bay, and Sandusky you finished second. So that was your some of your top finishes right there. Consistency, number one. Number two, that was the biggest thing for you. And then the 1-2 punch with the win. I don't want to say it's very unusual, but it is very unusual for AOY. I ain't gonna say it's very unusual, kind of unusual for AOY to win an actual event. Most of the time it's just being consistent at every event, or in finishing in the top 25 pretty much.
Right. I've fished Angler of the Year in several different circuits and stuff, and it's always come down to just being consistent. If you can, like you said, if you can stay in that top 25 in every tournament, you're gonna be at the end. You're gonna be right there with a chance to win that Angler of the Year title.
What has helped you with that consistency, man?
Just doing my homework before every event. Getting out there during the pre-practice period, getting out there and spending as much time on the water as I possibly can leading up to that event. My motto always has been, nobody's going to outwork me coming into that tournament or during the tournament. If I get beat because I got outworked, it's shame on me.
Right.
Yeah.
That's pretty awesome. What does a practice look like for you?
Well, leading up to a tournament, I do as much online Googling and research as I possibly can. And I don't take it all in, because a lot of that stuff, it can lead you in the wrong direction also.
Mhm.
Another thing that I believe thoroughly in is not listening to doc talk.
Oh
That
yeah.
doc talk will lead you in a
Mm.
direction you don't want to go. So if I hear
Amen.
something, I pretend like I did not hear it. Um, and just spending as much time on that body of water as I can during the pre-practice and practice time. If it means getting up at the crack of dawn, being the first
Yeah.
boat on the water, and being the last one off the water at the end of the day, that's what I'm going to do until I feel comfortable that I've got it figured out.
Wow. Man knows what he's doing, geek.
Yeah, listen, he's spot on about doc talk. I always say you can believe some of the doc talk after from those guys that didn't win because they didn't win, so they don't care to talk a little bit. But you
Yeah.
better not listen to any of it before because they're gonna spin you out. I guarantee you.
Yep, I've seen so many good anglers, and they're good anglers, get wrapped up in that doc talk, and
Oh
pretty soon
God.
now they're chasing somebody else's pattern,
Yep.
somebody
Yep.
else's fish, and they're not focusing on their strengths and what they need to be doing.
That's
What?
even locally. I tell guys
Oh
all the
yeah.
time, they'll come to me and they'll say, "Man, I hear they're biting this." So I said, "It's done too late. They're done off that." I said, "If you've heard they're biting it, it's done over. That's why you're
Right.
here." I said,
Yeah,
"Whatever comes next, that's what you need to go to."
yeah, you're right. Because you'd be like, what they catch them on? Well, they caught them on
Yeah.
this last week, but it's a total different week. The weather's
Yeah.
done changed, the temperatures done
Mhm.
changed, and everything else has done
Yeah.
freaking changed. So, you know, I don't want to keep hitting back on past, but dude, your past career, I mean, leading up to the NPFL was freaking amazing. And what you've went through and learned to get to this point to take home the AOY in your first season as an NPFL angler on top of that. And the field NPFL field is great. There's a lot of awesome guys. I'm not
Yep.
taking nothing away from them, but we had a couple Bassmaster lead anglers in there last year.
We did.
Um, some Major League Fishing anglers in there as well. So I mean, you had a heck of a. I mean, it was like a heck of a field. And then for you to have to come down here and fish against the Southern boys.
Yeah, people think that I'm just a smallmouth guy from up north, but I think last year I proved I'm pretty well rounded. I
Yeah.
can I feel I can compete on any body of water. Going into every tournament, I feel I can win it. Um, I just the positive attitude will carry you a long ways, on top of just being well rounded and experienced.
Yeah, the positive PMA. That's been a big thing for us in 2023. For me, it has been. Because it's a lot of anglers, like we were saying earlier, get spun out real easily. They
Yeah.
go out there and spend a whole lot of time on a body of water and can get spun out. The dog talk, everything else that they listen to. You had a great year. What's it look like for you in the PMA? Besides you said you're not gonna ever. No one else is gonna outwork you. But we all have those ups. We all have those downs. How do you take the downs from the ups, man?
Well, if I have a down, I try to learn from it as much as I can. If I have a down, it was probably for a reason. I'm going to find that reason and I'm going to build on that and I'm going to make it my strength for the next one.
There you go.
Wow. You need to write a book.
I'm working on it.
Dang, you heard that right here, Basscast Radio.
You're not the first one to say that to me.
That I mean, like I said, I mean it's just the whole. I don't even know how to sum this. I want to dive into the 2023 season, but like I said, just the whole thing about just being a well-rounded angler and not making the jump too fast. I mean, you're just awesome, man. I mean, you should be like
Thank you.
teaching young kids at like camps or something. I mean, it's like because like football camps, we have those like how to spend your money and how not to blow it on strippers. I mean,
Yeah.
invest it wisely. But I
Right.
mean, for us, bass fishing world, we all think that opportunity we might miss it. What happens
Yeah.
if this changes? What happens if life changes? What happens if, and then they just all go, all
Yeah.
in.
Right.
And
And how many
and
anglers have you seen go all in and they're around for just a couple of years and
Yeah.
pretty soon they're out of money.
Yeah.
They put themselves in a bad situation, their
Yeah.
family in a bad situation. I mean, fishing is not cheap. It's a very expensive sport. When you
Yes.
start looking at entry fees, the price of gas nowadays, the price of boats, tackle,
Yeah.
there's nothing cheap about it. So you got to have your ducks in a row.
It
If you're
can be
gonna
a
compete. Because
brutal
I'll tell you what,
sport.
financially, just mentally, financially can wear on a guy.
Yeah.
Where am I going to get? Am I going to get a check? Am I going to be able to afford the next tournament? I
Yeah.
mean, then them things alone will wear on you and put your mind in a place where it doesn't need to be, and you're not focusing on what your next tournament or what you're doing that day
Yeah.
on the water.
Yeah. Speaking of that, what you said right there, you know, that always having to cash a check, you know, that does hurt. I mean, like you said, you know, a lot of people are like, well, as long as I cash a check, we go on to the next one, everything is good. But I mean, it's almost like living paycheck to paycheck.
Yes, sir.
I mean, it really is, and that's bad. I mean, even in a real 9 to 5 job, if your debt to, you know, money income coming in is just barely enough where you can eat at McDonald's the next day to chase your dream, me personally, I don't think it's great. Mentally, physically, and emotionally, like you said.
Right. It just wears on you, and it doesn't got your mind's not where it needs to be if you're
Yeah.
struggling financially.
If I was a young angler coming up right now, got the opportunity, what would you say? I mean, what would be some
Honestly,
advice?
I would say make sure you're good financially coming into it. Work on getting sponsors if you can, because it certainly helps.
Yes.
I'm real fortunate. I've got some good ones that help me financially. But don't rush into it. Make sure that you're well-rounded before you start. Make sure you're set financially. Work on sponsorship, things like that. Because if you rush into it and you're not ready, it's going to hurt you.
All right, let's talk about 2022. Saginaw Bay, the victory. How did that play into your wheelhouse, man?
Well, it's a northern fishery. It's an awesome smallmouth fishery, although we did catch it at a bad time. It was a post-spawn bite. They had just got off the beds, and the fish were really on the move. I fished an offshore shoal. I would say probably 30 or 40 mile run for me each way every day. But I did find a sweet spot on a shoal. It was a shallow shoal. It had some big boulders on it. It was right on the edge of a big spawning flat. And I'm pretty sure it was just a stopping spot for them to feed up
Right.
as they moved out to go to their summer areas. So it was reloading every day. I was able to catch a bunch of fish every morning, get a limit quick. Probably within the first half hour, I had a limit every morning. And then I would just slowly upgrade throughout the day. We did have one real windy day. It was the second day, and
It was,
the current had changed on that spot and it moved the fish around a little bit. So it took me a little bit to find them, but by the end of the day, I had a decent bag, and I only won that event by 4 ounces. So it was very close.
Yeah.
Wow.
But it played right in my strength. I mean, drop shotting, you know, out in open water offshore was perfect.
What's your typical drop shot setup for you?
For me, well, the bait is a Berkeley Power or a flatworm.
Okay.
I mean, I use a G Loomis NRX rod. It's a 7'3" medium action rod with a 2500 series Shimano Stratic spinning reel. I use 10-pound braided line, typically a Power Pro, and then I use Seagar 10-pound fluorocarbon line with probably about an 8 to 10 foot leader. My favorite drop shot hook is a decoy drop shot hook, which is probably the best one on the market, I feel. And then a real tungsten drop shot weight.
Yeah.
Although this year I'm sponsored by Titan Tungsten, and I'm excited to use their product.
Oh, our boy's Titan Tungsten. That's awesome. Well, congratulations on that. Drop shot king, Mr. Gary Adkins right here.
Well, I wouldn't say I'm a king, but I'm fairly decent at it.
I love the drop
there's
shot. I
guys
ain't
that
gonna
are
lie.
better.
Wacky and drop shot. That's my two favorite. I ain't gonna lie.
Yep.
I love doing both. I mean, it's like almost a guarantee to catch fish. You might not catch big ones, but you're gonna have a great day out on the water. So
Yeah, but it was a great tournament for me. And I'll tell you what, Saginaw Bay has a largemouth population in it that is unbelievable. I don't know if you're familiar with Saginaw Bay or not, but I practiced largemouth one day during the practice period for about 4 hours, and I bet you I caught 70.
Wow.
holy cow.
It
Wow.
was a lot of that 2 to 3.5 pound range fish.
Mhm.
But there was guys that were catching 100 fish a day, largemouth fishing.
Wow.
Yeah, we
Wow.
heard. I did get the reference about the 2 to 3 pounders.
That just amazes me with the numbers.
Just an incredible fishery, really an untapped fishery. Up until the last couple of years, when the college events went there, and now the NPFL was the first real pro circuit to go there. It's getting a little bit more notoriety now, but really it was an untapped fishery.
That's awesome, man. Well, first of all, congratulations on a win in your inaugural season. And then, like I said, on top of that, the AOY trophy. So you got both trophies in 2022. You know, we kick off the 2023 season, March the 12th through the 17th, down in Alabama on Pickwick Lake. From there, April 16th through 22nd on Wright-Patman Lake. Going to Santee Cooper in May. I'm not going to go over all dates. You guys can check them all out on npfl.com. Then stop for Saginaw Bay, going back up there again. Lake Eufaula in September. And then me and Geek are really excited about this. And this is something that, you know, the elites and Major League Fishing don't do is, you know, Lake Lanier in October. I mean, nobody, you know, a lot of them don't want to stretch out that season. We ram it all in real quick and it's done. And, you know, the NPFL has, you know, it's a working man's league.
Correct.
And that's the coolest thing about it.
Yeah.
And there's, you know, one event pretty much a month. And it wraps October in Lake Lanier. So what besides going back to Saginaw Bay where you took the victory last year, what you looking forward to this year?
I'll tell you what, I'm excited about that whole schedule.
He said he gonna win it all again, boys and girls.
Pickwick Lake, I've got some experience there. I've never fished it in the spring, only in the fall.
Okay.
But it's a heck of a smallmouth fishery, which I'm excited about. It's got big largemouth in it, and we're gonna hit it at a perfect time. So I would expect some big bags to be caught on Pickwick. I'm excited for it. I really am. I'm excited to get the season started. Wright-Patman, they went there their inaugural season. They smashed them. Shallow water pitching. I mean, I love to do that. If I'm going to fish largemouth, that's the way I want to catch them. So I'm excited about that one too. And from there we go to Santee Cooper. I've never been there, but boy, you see them big bags coming out of Santee.
Oh yeah.
I mean, we're kind of hitting it at a bad time, I think.
Have a spare lower unit. That's the only thing I can tell you about Santee Cooper.
You're not the first one to say that.
It's a great fishery, but you have a couple spare props, maybe a spare lower unit at the ready. Let me tell you.
But yeah, that's a heck of a fishery. Then from there we go to Saginaw Bay, and I'm excited about that.
Oh yes.
Yeah.
We'll be catching it. We're going to go a couple weeks later. I think the smallmouth fishing will be a little stronger this time. Largemouth really showed out the first time we were there. I think smallmouth is really going to show out this time.
That's awesome, man. So do you think you can repeat with that schedule right there? Positive mental attitude. We know you're going to repeat.
Best. I'll give it my best try.
So you excited about the changes coming in? I know they've upped the payouts. They're doing a I don't know what they're calling it, lack of a better term, a classic this year, a championship tournament.
We're going to go to Lake Amistad for a championship.
Yes, that's right.
And I've always wanted to fish Amistad, so I'm excited about going there. Don't know what to expect, but I'll tell you what, if I'm in the top 25 in Angler of the Year, I get to go there free. So why not go fish for $100,000? No entry fee.
That's true.
No,
I think it's
NPFL really stepped up to the plate this year.
yeah.
I'm excited about this year. Like I said earlier, the NPFL was probably the best decision I've ever made in my fishing career, going over to them guys. The whole staff, the crew, the production company, everybody involved with the NPFL is first class, first notch. I can't
Yeah.
speak highly enough of them.
Yeah, we actually had the president on a few weeks ago from NPFL. So I mean, we here at the Basscast Radio, we love the NPFL. We love the Shield.
We do.
And what the Shield stands for. And it was just great to see something fresh and something new when it all began 3 years ago now. So it's crazy. We're in the third year. You get a championship, though. That's another great thing this year.
I'm excited.
So, I mean, I don't know. It's hard not to like it. I mean, like I said, it's a working man's organization with a great payout. And they go to some awesome locations. So
they do.
Well, dude, man, Gary, appreciate you coming on. Thank you for talking with us. Congratulations. Thank you for telling us your story. Hey, we'll buy a copy of the book when it comes out, or get the e-copy, whichever one we get first.
I appreciate that, guys. Thanks for having me on. I really enjoyed it. I'm always excited to talk to people that enjoy fishing as much as I do.
We do, man. Love it. Like I said, I was telling him earlier. I was telling Geek earlier. I was watching people do some fly fishing, which is pretty big out. You know, we do a little bit of it here, but I was watching that the other day, and I started on episode 1, and next thing I know, I was 5 episodes in, and I was like, "What in the world am I doing? I ain't never fly fished in my whole entire life, but it's just neat." So I mean, it's like these guys catching some nice fish, 22 inchers. I mean, I was like, "Holy cow!" So
yeah, it's a little bit of an art to fly fish too. I did it a little bit when I was younger, but I haven't done it in so many years now. I don't even know if I could do it anymore.
I will be honest.
I'll tell you, I'd wrap it around my head and put an eye out. I don't even try.
I picked up a rod one time and tried it, and I handed it back to the guy. I said, I'm going back. I just grabbed my bass rod.
Just give me my spinning reel. I can do
it. That's all I need.
I'm a spinning reel guy too, man.
Yeah.
You're not like David Dudley, are you? David Dudley doesn't, everything's spinning for David Dudley. It doesn't matter what's on the end of it. I mean, it's all spinning. It doesn't matter. It's crazy.
No, I'm not that crazy.
Not that crazy.
I like my casters.
I feel comfortable with the spinning rod in my hand.
Yeah.
Gary, before you leave, man, anybody out there you like, thanks, sponsors, etc. Before you leave, anywhere people can follow you on social media to follow your journey in 2023?
Sure, they can follow me on Gary Adkins Fishing on Instagram, Facebook, YouTube. I've got some videos out there. I'd like to thank all my sponsors real quick. U.S. Trades, they're my presenting sponsor this year. The Real Shot, great sports shop up here in Wisconsin. Camus Boats, Mercury Motors, Ken Sports. Who else do I got here? There's a couple more, and I don't want to forget. PH Custom Lures, Titan Tungsten, bunch of great people that look out for me. I couldn't do without them.
All right, guys, follow his dream again in 2023. Let's see if he repeats. Guys, we're going to be right back. All right, guys, I really appreciate Mr. Gary Adkins for coming on tonight's show. Guys, if you don't listen to the whole entire show, which we hope you do, this dude knows the stuff, but just listen to the bits and pieces of the freaking beginning about, him knowing when the right time was to make that move. And it's risky. I mean, it really is risky. I mean, you got to be at the top. I want to say almost at the top of your game. I mean, because it's not like,
all
right, I don't want to run through this thing. My dad was in NASCAR back in the 70s. It cost like $500 to do a whole race. And this was NASCAR. You had a couple of sets of tires. Now we're talking $1 million a freaking run. I mean, you got to have your stuff together. And, and it ain't like the game now, bass fishing, is how it was years ago. You didn't have the internet. I had to send you a letter. You didn't have YouTube. These kids now are watching all this stuff on the internet and learning. We had the 16-year-old on last week. I mean, there's so much at his hand right now.
Oh
that,
yeah.
That me and Geek, if I wanted to be an elite angler, which I never really did, I just like going fishing with family. So as a family thing then, but I mean, there's so much at your hands right now that, a lot of the anglers that are his age or older didn't have then. And you had to get in your car and go fishing. And you paid your own gas and, all this other stuff. And you can't just go on the internet and type in Smith Mountain Lake, thebasscast.com, bring up more information, and you can sit there and watch for hours about past tournaments, interviews I've done, and everything else that are out there, and any other lake that there's someone else doing the same thing I'm doing.
Yep.
Lake reports. I mean, I got lake reports that go back 14 freaking years on the basscast.com. I mean, you can look back and type in Smith Mountain Lake Fishing Report and go back. I ain't gonna say you can go back that far, but I know you probably go back at least 5, 6, 8, 10 years where you can see a whole pattern of what is going on. So the information's there. It's just a different game, and you better have your A game before you show up. And don't think, hey, I can just drop $2,000 or $3,000 and I might have a chance to win. Unless you got a lot of money you want to throw away. Hey, call the basscast.com or Bass Geek, and we'll spend it extremely wisely for you.
Yep. There's got to be some donators in every tournament.
There it is. I mean, it's the same as with NASCAR. I mean, you got the top 10 and top 15 or whatever, and then you got the donators.
Yep.
But it all makes up the field, and it makes for great TV. And the donators will 40% of the time a donator will end up winning or come close to freaking winning, because the rest of you crazy bastards at the front wrecked each other. So, I mean, there it is. I mean, that's it. So, guys, make sure you follow Gary. Follow his journey in 2023. And, yeah, I mean, good gosh, I think he could repeat. I mean, the dude's a workhorse. I mean, the dude's smart as crap.
Yeah. Yeah.
He's smart. I mean, really freaking smart. He's a business owner on top of that. So, I mean,
yep.
Guys, do you ever struggle remembering what fishing patterns worked for you years ago in cloudy weather, in summer, on a specific lake, and a specific water visibility? Are you tired of journaling your fishing experience on pen and paper? The Fish It Logbook app is your solution. Built by anglers for anglers. To log your fishing patterns at the end of the day in under a minute and have it captured forever. That's not all. The app goes to work for you and presents you with a detailed insight statistics about your fishing performance by revealing averages related to your techniques, your cover, your structure, weather, water visibility, and many more. Know your numbers like any other professional athlete knows their numbers. Available on the Google Play Store and Apple Store at Fishit. Fishit, guys, by the way. That's how you spell it. So go download a copy today. Want to appreciate them for sponsoring Basscast Radio. If you'd like to be a sponsor of Basscast Radio, just reach out to me. You know what, guys? That was out of the blue. I ain't gonna lie. I didn't go after this gentleman who owns Fishit. I didn't reach out. He reached out to us, and we really appreciate that. And if you'd like to be a sponsor, reach out to us, and maybe we can get him on for the whole year. That'd be beautiful. But thank you for them for coming on and sponsoring Basscast Radio. Guys, Bassmaster, it's already begun. The show's up. We'll be up tomorrow, Thursdays. We always upload. Day one will be pretty much in the books by the time I'm done.
Oh yeah.
So we got Bassmaster, Major League Fishing going on right now. And like I said, guys, March, let's say first weekend or second weekend of March, first weekend, I think is what it was. We have the NPFL. And so the season's kicked into gear. Make sure you follow Geek this year. Geek's going to be fishing as well as a boater. What division did you say it was, Geek?
We're going to be fishing the mountain division.
Mountain division. So make sure you guys watch and check out all of Hank's videos as well. Have a great night, everyone. Thank you for watching. We will be back next week.